Do you think people in the Middle Ages were all about being pure and spent their time praying, avoiding anything sexual? Well, get ready for a surprise, because sexuality back then was incredibly strange and wild, making today's dating scene look tame. You're about to dive into the shocking world of medieval sexual practices that are far more extreme than anything you can imagine. From special feasts meant to increase desire, featuring bizarre ingredients like animal testicles, to public trials where men had to prove they couldn't perform sexually in front of judges, these facts will completely change what you thought you knew about the Dark Ages. And here's a spoiler: they weren't dark because people weren't having sex. They were dark because of the unusual things people were doing while having sex. Imagine medieval courtship. Your parents arrange a marriage, and for a romantic evening, you're tied in a sack and put in a bed with a stranger. This was bundling, a supervised, awkward sleepover. Young couples, fully clothed, were wrapped together in bed, often with a wooden board between them to prevent inappropriate touching. Parents encouraged this, inviting suitors to spend the night bundled with their daughters, believing it was a safe way to get acquainted. Special bundling bags were even manufactured, creating an industry dedicated to physically restricting couples while forcing them into the same bed. Unsurprisingly, bundling often failed its purpose. Historical records indicate higher pregnancy rates among bundling couples compared to those who courted traditionally. Religious leaders condemned the practice as immoral, but it remained deeply ingrained in rural culture. Medieval aristocrats treated conception like a strategic operation, meticulously scheduling sex based on a bizarre blend of astrology, medicine, and religious decrees. Getting pregnant was an intricate affair, far more complex than any modern fertility plan. Astrological charts were crucial, with couples consulting them for ideal planetary alignments, as if the cosmos dictated their intimate lives. Medical texts advised conception during a waxing moon, specific planetary positions, and when the woman had a hot humoral balance. Some even suggested holy days, believing such children would gain special qualities. Imagine juggling multiple calendars just to find a green light for baby making. Beyond the day, doctors dictated the optimal time, midnight, weather warm, humid, and even bed orientation, east. Sex became a logistical puzzle, demanding more preparation than a medieval siege. Gender selection methods were even stranger. To conceive a boy, men were advised to tie off their left testicle during sex, based on the erroneous belief that boys originated from the right testicle. Religious restrictions further complicated matters. The Church prohibited sex on Sundays, Wednesdays, Fridays, throughout Lent and Advent, during menstruation, pregnancy, and breastfeeding, plus countless other holy days. Couples navigated a minefield of prohibitions just to find a sin-free day for intimacy. Wealthy families often hired fertility consultants, a blend of doctor, astrologer, and priest. These specialists crafted personalized conception schedules, analyzing birth charts, medical histories, and religious obligations. It was essentially a medieval fertility app, heavy on superstition and light on science. The immense pressure to produce heirs even led some couples to travel hundreds of miles to be in the right location during their optimal conception window, believing geography influenced success. Medieval cuisine pushed the boundaries of food is love, with elaborate aphrodisiac meals, far beyond modern notions of romantic foods. The primary ingredient was animal testicles, referred to as stones, typically from young bulls, rams, and boars. Medieval cookbooks featured numerous recipes for these, prepared roasted, boiled, fried, powdered, or mixed into wine. Beyond testicles, menus included sparrow brains for performance and other animal reproductive organs, based on the belief that consuming fertility would create fertility. Spices like pepper, ginger, cinnamon, and saffron were also considered potent aphrodisiacs, commanding high prices. Wealthy nobles hosted love feasts, where every dish aimed to boost desire and performance. Surprisingly, these feasts were common at wedding receptions. Imagine a wedding meal today featuring animal genitals and brain matter, all intended to enhance the newlyweds' sexual experience. Even wedding cakes included ingredients like pine nuts, almonds, and honey for their perceived stimulating effects. Medieval doctors authored detailed books on aphrodisiac cooking, akin to sex cookbooks, with titles such as On the Generation of Semen and Foods that Increase Lust. These were legitimate medical texts. The obsession was so extreme that certain ingredients were even banned during religious fasting due to their stimulating properties. The medieval church, despite preaching sexual purity, secretly ran Europe's largest sex trafficking operation, profiting immensely from prostitution. In 12th century London, the Bishop of Winchester owned 18 licensed brothels in Southwark, employing over 1,000 prostitutes. Church leaders justified this by claiming prostitution was a necessary evil to prevent worse sins like rape and adultery, choosing to regulate and profit from it. Their business model was a masterclass in hypocrisy. The church collected rent from brothel owners without officially approving prostitution. Brothels operated under strict church rules. Prostitutes had dress codes, set hours, designated living areas, and couldn't work on religious holidays or refuse customers without cause. They also underwent regular medical exams. Financially, it was an exploitative pyramid scheme. Prostitutes paid brothel keepers, who paid property owners, who paid taxes to the church. The church even used these profits to fund religious activities like building churches and supporting monasteries, essentially funding salvation with sin money. This deeply ingrained system faced massive resistance when reformers tried to shut down church-owned brothels, as too many authorities benefited financially. The church's prostitution empire lasted centuries, only ending with Protestant reform and changing social views that exposed its blatant hypocrisy. Imagine your wedding night, but with a room full of nobles watching you consummate your marriage. This was the reality of the medieval bedding ceremony, where privacy was legally forbidden for aristocratic couples. The reason was simple: a marriage wasn't legally valid until it was consummated. With massive transfers of land, money, and power at stake, witnesses were required to confirm the act. The elaborate and humiliating process began with the bride and groom being led to their bedroom by guests. Relatives would undress them, and then the couple would be put into bed. High-ranking nobles, church officials, and family members would then watch the entire duration, sometimes offering encouragement. It gets worse. Some witnesses would even inspect the bedsheets afterward for proof of the bride's virginity and penetration. This wasn't just for royals. Thousands of medieval couples with significant property or political alliances endured this. Some tried to cheat the system by having witnesses wait outside, but this often led to marriage annulments, forcing couples to repeat the act with proper supervision. The practice was so normalized that medieval etiquette manuals even provided instructions for both the couple and witnesses during these public displays. Medieval people viewed underwear as religious artifacts that could influence fertility. Getting dressed often involved consulting priests and physicians. Fertility belts, like the girdle of Venus made of silk or linen, were inscribed with prayers, astrological symbols, or incantations. They were believed to enhance fertility, ensure safe childbirth, and improve sexual performance. Women also used amulets containing substances like powdered unicorn horn, narwhal tusk, or ground gemstones to boost reproductive abilities. Some included written prayers or biblical verses. The most unusual accessory was the conception stone, a small rock or crystal inserted into undergarments during sex. Different stones were believed to influence the baby's sex or even result in twins: emeralds for boys, sapphires for girls, diamonds for twins. Men had their own fertility aids, including special rings, amulets with animal parts, often testicles, and blessed loincloths for improved sexual performance. The church even blessed these items, charging fees for fertility belts, conception amulets, and bed sheets, turning sex lives into a religious subscription service. Some elaborate accessories came with instruction manuals detailing how to wear them, what prayers to recite, and what to do if they failed. The most expensive accessories, made from imported silk, gold thread, and gemstones, were luxury items for the wealthy. Poorer individuals made do with homemade versions, creating a class system based on the quality of their magical underwear. The belief in these accessories was so strong that some individuals refused to have sex without them. Medieval impotence trials offered one of the few avenues for divorce in a church-dominated era. To escape a marriage, a woman could claim her husband was impotent, but proving it meant a full-scale, public investigation into their sex life. The process was extreme. Medical examinations. Both partners underwent separate physical inspections and detailed questioning about their sexual history. Trial by Congress. If initial examinations were inconclusive, the court could order supervised sexual intercourse. Medical experts and court officials would observe through peepholes or screens as the couple attempted to perform. These sessions could last for months or even years, with multiple attempts required. Cheating the system. Some men tried to use medieval aphrodisiacs, but if caught, it led to further humiliating examinations. Women's humiliation. Women bringing charges also faced intimate examinations and questioning, sometimes being blamed if a man couldn't perform. The social fallout was severe, leading to public gossip and ridicule. Many men chose annulment over enduring such a public and demeaning trial. Medieval birth control methods were so strange, so dangerous, and so completely ineffective that they make modern contraception look like a miracle of science. Let's start with a classic, animal testicles, because medieval people apparently thought the solution to every sexual problem involved animal genitals. Women would wear pouches containing weasel testicles around their necks, believing this would prevent conception. The logic was that since weasels were thought to be sexually active but had small litters, their reproductive organs would somehow transfer this controlled fertility to humans. But testicle jewelry was just the beginning. Medieval contraception included drinking potions made from everything imaginable: ground-up beaver testicles mixed with wine, powdered iron dissolved in water, and concoctions containing mercury, yes, the poisonous metal. Some women accidentally poisoned themselves trying to avoid pregnancy, which technically worked, as dead people can't get pregnant. The sneezing method was particularly ridiculous. Medieval doctors believed that if a woman sneezed immediately after sex, the force would expel the man's seed before conception could occur. So, women would carry pepper or other irritants to make themselves sneeze right after intercourse. Physical barriers were equally insane. Women would insert everything from honey-soaked wool to crocodile dung into their vaginas before sex, believing these substances would block or kill sperm. Some used half a lemon as a cervical cap, which actually wasn't completely ineffective due to the citric acid, but was probably incredibly uncomfortable and definitely not recommended by any medical authority. The timing method was based on completely wrong information about female fertility. Medieval doctors believed women were most fertile during menstruation and least fertile mid-cycle, the exact opposite of reality. So, couples trying to avoid pregnancy would have sex at precisely the wrong times, essentially guaranteeing conception while thinking they were preventing it. Magical contraception was a whole category of its own. Women would wear amulets containing written spells, carry special stones, or perform elaborate rituals involving everything from burning specific herbs to burying objects under full moons. Some contraceptive spells required the woman to walk backward around a church 3 times while reciting prayers, because apparently God needed very specific instructions about birth control. The withdrawal method existed, but medieval doctors warned that it could cause serious health problems for men, including madness, blindness, and death. So even the one method that actually worked was discouraged by medical authorities who thought incomplete ejaculation would poison the male body. Medieval people were truly wild when it came to sex. They created a society where young couples slept together with wooden boards between them, and the church ran massive prostitution rings while preaching about purity. The medieval approach to sex reveals something fundamental about human nature. When people are desperate enough, they'll believe anything and try everything, whether it's wearing magical underwear, eating animal brains for sexual enhancement, or having court-supervised sex to prove legal points.